Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Draw with T. So, we are back to gestures. I hope you guys like gestures because they're going to be popping up in some more episodes now. I believe I have a couple episodes more where I do it like this, which is you're watching me draw it at 100% speed. So this is basically what it looks like if you happen to be hanging over my shoulder while I'm sketching, which is weird, but hey, it could happen, I guess. And I think it's good to show people this, just to show you guys what it looks like when somebody does it at 100% speed, so you don't get any wrong ideas of how fast it's going. 30 to 60 seconds is not a lot of time to draw something, and yet when you see me drawing it here, it sure feels like an eternity for me to get even one figure done. But that's kind of how it is. I mean, the perception of seeing somebody draw and then drawing yourself are two very different things. But going forward, in future episodes, I think I'm going to just take several days sessions and just put it into one episode and speed it up, because I don't think that watching me do this, every third episode or whatever it would be, is going to be very entertaining for very long. It has a certain, novelty to it, and it's good to show and all that, but it's gonna very quickly get boring. And there's a big difference between what's entertaining to watch and what you have to do as an artist. And while I might be doing these now before I kind of sit down and do other art, it doesn't make great entertaining TV. At least I don't think so. Thinking about it, I can't remember the last time I really watched proper TV, now that I think about it. I can't wait to see what happens with that phrase, TV. Is that going to become old and outdated, or is that just going to be an anachronism that we use even going forward as YouTube becomes old and we no longer check YouTube? Are we still going to call things TV? I don't know, but it's an interesting thought. Anyways, here I'm doing these gestures are 60 seconds, and once more I'm doing them from a website which I will hopefully remember to link, but if you can't find the link in the description of this video, I do have some other gesture videos, and you will probably find the link there, and that will take you to the online resource website that I use to get these figures and sketch them. I am sketching from pictures, so, it is not as good as having a live figure, but it's not really something that's going to be happening right now, especially with everything going on. I think this video is going to air a bit late, later on, but I'm pretty sure things won't have changed so much. Well, maybe they will. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this coronavirus thing. Does anybody? For this page, I was trying to draw the gestures a little bigger than I normally do. Sometimes I do them so small and doodly, and sometimes that's okay. But in this instance, because I hadn't done them for a while, I wanted to try and get myself to make larger, more sweeping lines and more decisive lines, like I'm kind of doing here, where I don't chicken scratch it too much and I don't do too many underlines, I just go for it. Typically, I'm really good at both doing that around the torso, and then arms and legs not so good at. But, I was just trying to get back into it, trying to not draw really tiny out of, just lack of confidence, really. This one's kind of nice and big. I don't know if it really turned out all that great. I'm kind of going through a very hypercritical point with my art. And even as I'm recording this, I'm still in it. The thing with art is there are points where your tastes and your eye and what you're suddenly sensitive to shoots way past what you're capable of doing. And for a while there, you're frustrated and you don't feel like an artist, and you're just, getting it to work is hard. And the studies you do are often quite fruitless, and that's kind of the phase I'm kind of going through. So I'm looking at this stuff like, well, I could have done better here, and I could have done better there, and why did I bother with this, and what was I thinking here? But this was kind of right at the start of me descending into that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. As an artist, you know, it's just something you deal with, and it's bad when you're in it, but when you manage to break through, you know, you'll be a better artist for it on the other side, and then it's met with a very pleasant feeling, but ultimately kind of not incredibly useful point where like you plateau and you're like, yeah, look at the cool things I can draw, and you're not really learning anything, but you know, you're kind of executing what you've learned, and it all comes to a screeching halt when you go back into that critical phase. Well, I don't know, this is how I work as an artist anyways. Maybe other people find it to be quite gentle and you know, less stormy than what it is for me, but you know, for me it's not really. It's a little bit of a wild ride, like, you know, being a ship on the sea. Sometimes it's calm and sunny, and then other times there's a raging storm, and you know, you can count on both showing up at some point. I will say that even though I'm not entirely impressed with these gestures, and I may not have even been at the time, that I am happy that I am drawing gestures at all again. It's a bit like I don't know, recovering from like a minor sports injury, or getting back into working out when you haven't in a couple weeks. You know, it's something you just have to do, and you know it's gonna suck, but you know, you gotta get the bad images out and then just start making the good ones. But you know, you gotta deal with the crap first. And even though I'm not incredibly impressed with these, I can see that if I keep doing it, well, I know that if I keep doing it, that the gestures will never look incredibly good, because that's not the point. The point is that I loosen up, and then that way I can do some really, really cool art elsewhere. That's always been why I do gestures, and I can just kind of tell that just watching how I draw this, yes, it looks nice, but there's a certain lack of confidence in the way I do it that is part of the reason why my art of late has been kind of hard to do. Like the Scath image, you know, those portraits, part of it was me being overcritical, but also I just wasn't pleased with the lines I was laying down, and this is one way to kind of work towards remedying that. Now, the thing I'm working on right now is almost always one of the images that throws me for a loop, and this is drawing me trying to draw this figure that's doing kind of a handstand. Now, what's interesting about this is something you can never draw from life, because this picture was taken as this gentleman was, you know, had probably just leapt, you know, fell forward onto his hands, and then you know, like really shot his legs up, just kind of in the air. And you can tell, like, from the original photograph, even though it's not pictured here, it is a little blurry up where the feet are, kind of hinting at like movement lines, if that makes sense. That sort of image is always kind of hard for me to draw. I don't know, it's not something you anticipate seeing. Usually the head is at the very top of the figure, and everything is sort of below it. I mean, arms might reach up above the head, but rarely does most of the body reach up above the head. So, you know, it's always, because it's not something you expect, it can be a bit hard to draw. I also find this to be true with, you know, figures that sort of overlap, you know, figures that are kind of scrunched in upon themselves, and somebody's taken the picture from a very obscure top-end angle. That can be really hard to do. Sometimes I get frustrated when I see those images, because they're so niche that, like, the chances of me ever drawing somebody in that position is rare. And also sometimes a little uncomfortable. These gesture sites tend to have a very skewed, unequal way that both sexes are portrayed. Women are always, you know, languid and, you know, relaxed upon, you know, chairs and sofas, or presenting themselves and presenting their boobs, and guys are always in masculine positions or non-sexual positions, and I would like to see a lot more references of just girls chilling out, you know. Not everything has to be sexy, but, you know, there is some worth to drawing stuff like that. I mean, but, you know, that's all that you get, it's a little annoying. Makes it really hard when you find the right pose, but it's the wrong gender, especially if it's like a super buff dude, and, it's really hard when you're trying to do studies. You're trying to work with what you got, and you don't want to do too much inventing because of the study, but it really makes you wish that there was some more material to study from. And maybe there is some material out there that I don't know of yet. I definitely would love to find another site just for the variety of pictures, because I've been drawing these same pictures for quite a while now, and a lot of them, when they do pop up, it's like, oh, well, it's the guy with the drapes, guy with drapes number 17. I've drawn that one many, many, many times before, and this time is going to be a sleep easy thing to do, and it often is. It's pretty easy to get done, and, I'm not always sure if I'm learning from it, because I started drawing it from rote. And, when I'm drawing it from rote, I'm not learning. I know a circle goes here, and an arm goes here, and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Please stay safe during this time, and don't shake hands or whatever. Here's a close-up at the page, and yeah, see you guys in the next episode.